Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back bringing freedom to potential with our dear friend and amazing coach. That's right. Randy Swaim joining us today. Coaching for Relevance is the name of the company based out of the Dallas area. He's been helping corporate executives and so many people for a long time. And he continues to instill leadership and guide people through many different situations, especially in the aviation field as well, being a pilot, but also different corporate aspects as well. So hello, welcome back today. Great to see you, my friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's always great to see you too there, my friend, and I'm just honored to be here each week that we're here.
Thank you, sweetheart. So for those new timers today, you really, you bring a lot to the table with all your expertise, your skills, your knowledge, and always share some great stories of leadership. Could you share some today? What did you have in mind?
Well, what I was going to do is just a fairly simple thing, but it's an important thing. And it's very aligned with the coaching awareness that I have, and also the neuroscience thinking and aspects of it, but also very aligned with my concept of organizational maneuverability. You know, where not everything fits just rote academic things and everything, and so leaders not only have to be very good in getting themselves to success there, but also developing their team so that their team makes some amazing things happen with all of this as well. And it's something that often people don't tend to think about. So we're just going to kind of throw some of that out there today.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We're excited you're here joining us today, live from, are we in Dallas? Are we in Texas today? Nice and hot for you?
I'm still I'm at home right now, but Bedford, Texas, which is basically in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. No two ways about it.
Yeah, amazing. So what did you have in mind for us? Fill us in. What's been happening in the world? Love hearing your stories, hands-on stories, and of course, other people that you work with.
Well, I tell you, and I see this routinely in a lot of ways with flight crews and pilots, but also people that are, working to be leaders and things like that in their team and all. But it's something that is sort of aligned with my organizational maneuverability concept. And people that are leaders need to kind of be aware of this and have a tendency to think about how very many people today kind of get it wrong, and they don't really bring it and stuff. And so I'll just bring that out in a very simple concept and everything. But the concept, and I'll just share this with you. I think most people realize this already, but the concept of organizational maneuverability that is certified with me is very key in today's world, because you know what a lot of people don't realize, and what a lot of people in today's world have a tendency to do is to just think through what they think is an academic answer to something or whatever. Now, are there certain aspects about that are applicable? Yeah, if you have a certain piece of wood and you put enough pressure on it so that it breaks, yeah, okay, that'll do it and stuff. But the bottom line is, when you talk about this concept of organizational maneuverability, you have to kind of be aware that not everything fits rote academic aspects, because you know what, when you or your team goes into a new environment or a new challenge or a new situation, what you don't realize, and what most people in today's world don't, because what a lot of managers do today is they think about, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to make this happen. We're going to do this and this and this. Okay, do this and this and this. And you go into it. But you know what? That's not always the case. And guess what? You'd be surprised at how many times I have seen people that do something like that. And when they go into the situation, they are very frustrated, because part way in the journey of making this happen, things were not going the way they expected to. And you know what? You'd be surprised at how many people I have heard say, well, you know what? That should have been like this, and it wasn't. That should have been like this. You know what? If that's your answer to it, you're not being a professional leader because you're not being aware of aspects on that. And so if you think about it, when you go into a a situation that has certain challenging aspects to it, there's just a few things that you got to kind of be aware of. First of all, you don't want, as a leader, you don't want to put your people in a rote, superficial, little academic mindset. No, have them awareness. And if you think about the concept of situational awareness, very often that can be deeper than people realize. Because when you go into a given situation, you had a mindset about this situation that is clear in your mind. But guess what? It's very possible that unexpected factors can sneak in to the situation. And very often people do not even see that and are not even aware of that that's coming into it. And you know what happens is things get distorted and people get mad because it didn't happen the way they wanted it to it. And that is not being a good leader. And what you have to think about as you're going into a situation is to have a vision of what you want to be as you go into this, but also be very much aware of the fact that there can be unexpected factors that sneak in. And what you have to do is have a very definitive clarity on how you can adjust things to overcome or to, maybe move to this way just a little bit or that way just a little bit to really still reach success in the midst of the situation, even when some of those factors come on. But you know what? If all you're doing is going in with your rote academic vision, guess what? What a lot of people have a tendency to do is to just play blame games. Well, it should have done this. It should have been this way, and it wasn't. There's something screwed up. Such and such came on the environment or whatever, kind of thing. Or, my people didn't see that. They didn't, that kind of thing. And that is not what you want as a real leader. What you need to do is you need to not only have awareness that when unique factors that are coming on scene that you didn't even expect, how might that change a little bit about what you're doing? And how do you want to do that? But not only that, to what extent are you truly, and I mean truly, leading your team to be able to be aware of that? And very, very often, the way you told your team and the way that you communicated to them, they may just saying, "Well, here's what we're supposed to do. We'll go do this." Well, hey, that's not letting us do that. If that's the mindset in your team, you are not leading it well, and you're not developing it well. The bottom line is what you have to be able to do is to play a leadership role in how you're noticing unexpected factors and being aware and having some clarity on how things might need to be tweaked or changed in order to get what you're trying to accomplish in it. And also leading your team. And, one of the biggest things on being a leader is when you're modeling reality. And you know what? The big thing that makes people kind of have a tendency to say, oh, yeah, I got to become that. Yeah, is because they see what you modeled in such a way that it was incredibly successful. And it wasn't a shock and it wasn't a surprise or a dysfunctional thing when this factor snuck into the journey that we're trying to do with this particular goal. And and that's just a thing that a lot of people sometimes don't sort of think about, that it's really about leading your team, modeling your team, but doing it right, not just going with superficial academic blame game situations. If you do that, you're not bringing leadership to it. But here's a thing. If your team, and I will share this with your team members, as you are leading them well and really developing them well, okay, what happens is when an unexpected factor comes on scene, and let's say you're sick and you're home and you're not there, and they're trying to do something, and an unexpected factor comes on board, and they're very much aware of it. But you know what? In looking at it, they kind of go, oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Here's what we can do. And we can actually get to our objective quicker, kind of thing. And think about that, and perhaps readapt or readjust their strategy just a little bit. And because it could be that this is coming on scene, um, and it could be, it sounds kind of crazy, but when you're talking about vehicles or airplanes, if it's coming on scene, it could be something that's bringing some air to kind of help push you forward to where you're going. Who knows, kind of thing. And but if it comes the other way, where it's coming into the head point, there might be a valuable reason of what it's doing to protect you. So just something to think about. And so I just give some thought on that when you're talking about the brain and the awareness and the ability to process the real situation, the real growth of your team members, the real one-ship of your team members. If all you're doing is saying, well, we're one, we're just going to do it this way and that's it. No, you're not being a good team developer. You're just being a little cataclysmic thing kind of thing and everything. But the bottom line, if that team looks at it and goes, well, here's what we're doing. Oh, you know what? Well, we can tweak it a little bit because of this factor over here. And you know what? Oh yeah, you know what? If we just tweak it that little bit right here, that puts that aside and we get there and we get there on time, kind of thing. And how your team sort of experiences that or is aware of that and envisions that and thinks about it ahead of time is really what you need in today's world. And the other part of it is it's not just about you blaming things. It's not about you just stuff, but truly letting them become the real team members. And here's the thing, even if you were not there for that day and your team members are aware of something and they talked together and they came up with this miraculous, successful adaptation to what they're doing, guess what? That can be huge. And so it's just something to think about, that when you're talking about the aspect of leadership. Leadership is not just about making assumptions, well, it's this, it's this, it's this. So here, we'll just do that, kind of thing and all that. You need to be careful of those kind of mindsets, but to really have clarity on the situation, but also the real situational awareness, but also the true factors that are um, applied with it are part of it, but also perhaps a few of the factors that are sneaking on scene today, and to be able to, come up with the radical solutions in that, in the way you're thinking about it and bringing it together, where you're not just throwing things aside and blaming games. Well, we could have gotten here, but it wouldn't let us, and all that kind of stuff. That's not the mindset that you want to have as a leader. And it's certainly not the mindset you want to have on your team. And the bottom line is you just kind of have to have some neuroscience aspect about that. And that comes from that awareness comes from the mental processing that happens in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. That's where the situational, processing occurs. What a lot of people in our, environment and in our world have a tendency to do is they just gravitate back here to the back part of their brain, and the back part of their brain is their rote academic things. And if that's all you're doing, if you're going to what you kind of came up with 2 years ago and say that's the right decision at all times, no, it isn't. Because with different times, there's slightly different factors that come on scene. And so that's not it. But being able to process and become aware in this situation right now of what is truly needed, truly required. And the team becomes aware of that as a team, as a synergistic team, and they know what needs to be done. And if you are leading your team in such a way where you're truly developing that and making that become a central part of what you're doing, at that point, guess what? Radical results can happen. Radical results can happen, and that's where your team gets applauded, kind of thing, and you get applauded for it. But the bottom line is, that doesn't happen just because you go with what you thought at the beginning and it's just a superficial academic thing. No, it's about having an awareness when the changing factors are sort of happening with the strategy that you're trying to work on. Because you know what? In today's world, a lot of those strategies are not just one thing. It's not just go into this and put this together and do this and all that kind of stuff. In today's world, different factors can can play into it, and the question is, when those unexpected factors come on, do you, as the leader, do you have the awareness of that, of perhaps what you should do, but also have you developed your team so that they are able to be really successful in those challenging situations that come up that are not just rote academic. And in today's world, that's something we got to be thinking about because, like I said, with the organizational maneuverability, guess what? There's a lot of different things out there. There's a lot of different people that have a lot of different inputs, a lot of different visions, a lot of different aspects about it. And there are some times, depending on those factors that are coming on scene, there are some times where your team needs to talk together briefly and come up with a unified solution to it, and all that. And so it's just some things to think about that when you're talking about leading your team, particularly in one of the you know current environments, the organizational maneuverability. You got to realize that not everything is just perfect, and not everything. And I think we all know this. I got a feeling that you probably have experienced this one time before, and I have too. But guess what? There are times when you look up and go, well, that's not academic. That's not what I expected, kind of thing. And you know what? To what extent is your team trying to really reach radical success, even in the midst of the situation?
Yeah.
Or to what extent are you making excuses? And you know what? As a leader, what are you truly leading in your team
Yeah.
for that? Are you, if you, and I will tell you that if every situation you are simply making excuses, guess what? You're modeling that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. What I would say is that you consistently model the awareness and all that so your team really develops that within themselves as they're getting big. So the bottom line is it's just something to think about when you're talking about rapidly changing, unpredictable environments and organizational maneuverability and all that. And when you're talking about your team and leading it and bringing your true neuroscience awareness to the
Yeah.
to the place of your processing and how are you really doing this, it is key for what you as the leader need to do, but it's also key for what your team needs to develop in themselves to be truly successful. So just a concept on that of the leadership aspect of it and everything, and that's just kind of what I was going to bring today.
Hmm. You bring a lot to the table. And I just got to ask, I'm thinking about end of school year as a mom, kids, my kids, one's graduating fifth grade, one's going into fourth. So anyway, but
Well,
I remember when you were little.
if you don't mind me
Sure.
saying, tell him this pilot that you know extends his highest compliments to them.
Well, thank you. Well, that's it. I want to try to get them into. I want to be able to give them an experience. And I know there's flight school camps, all that. They're a little young
Hmm.
still, 9 and 11, but still, I'm trying to remember when you were a little youngin', right? Where did you? Someone was it your uncle? Your someone helped guide you, right? Like, how did you know what you wanted to be and start? Like, I'm trying to remember your immediate backstory. But when you were younger, tell me about your childhood, right? And then what drove you here? Who kind of helped
Well,
launch you into the
well,
pilots, and
what?
then of course into the
Yeah.
Air
Well,
Force.
I'll say this very quickly, but I will tell you this, that nobody truly um, put me into this when I was a youngster, and by that I mean like elementary school, kind of thing, um, fourth grade or whatever, kind of thing. One of the TV shows that I watched all every week was 12 O'Clock High, and it was about
Yes, yes.
the flying in World
Oh,
War II and all this kind of stuff. And basically, because of that, I will tell you that as a kid, every little plastic model that I had around my room was an airplane model, and it was a military uh, airplane model, you know, a bomber or a fighter, kind of thing, and all that. And I really, uh, it's interesting because when my parents got divorced and everything, a lot of the dream of that sort of went, and just where I wasn't thinking about it and I didn't know what to do when I graduated from high school. But I went to a 2 year a technical school in a medical field, and I worked in the medical field for about a year and a half. But I will tell you that it was very interesting because there came a time here in Dallas where it was the very first day that the Texas Rangers um, were going to play in the new Dallas stadium, kind of thing. It was just built. It's still down there, but it was just built. And a friend of mine flew they had three of the uh, World War II Vision airplanes and fighters and stuff. And he asked me if I'd like to, because they were going to kind of do a flyby for the national anthem for the very first game at that stadium. And he asked me if I wanted to fly with them. I said, "Sure, you bet." And so I got the chance to sit in the back seat and in the back pilot seat and watch this, and it was cool. It brought back a lot of those memories to me. And I was out in a little Cessna 172, which is a four-seat little single-engine Cessna out there one time, and I was just kind of going around, and he had an instructor that was in the right seat, and he was just going to be flying it. But taxiing out, he said, "So Randy, do you want to do the takeoff?" And I went, "What?" Like this, and he looked at me, and said, "I'll tell you what, you can do the takeoff, and I'll talk you through it." I
wow.
said, "Okay." Well, guess what? That it took off, and as soon as I felt the airplane break the ground under my control for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
all of those childhood dreams came flooding back to me in about 20 seconds.
Wow.
And and immediately I applied to go to college, and I got accepted at the university that was my favorite university, which was North Carolina State. Go Wolfpack, kind of thing. And but I went there and I actually went into ROTC,
Wow.
and you had to graduate. You had to be commissioned by your 25th birthday. Well, guess what?
Ah.
The last thing that I had, because I was older, the last thing that I had is had to take a summer session course, and my birthday is June 28th.
Oh my goodness! Happy almost birthday! This is exciting.
It's coming up next
Yeah, yeah,
Sunday.
it is.
Yep,
It
yep.
is. It
Kind of
is.
thing. But what was wild was we go in there, and I knew that I had to graduate in 3.5 years. My
Mm-hmm.
degree was in applied mathematics and physics, and went in there, and I was in ROTC for the whole time and all this kind of stuff. And what's amazing is the head guy in the university learned that I had to be commissioned and have my lieutenant bars on
Wow.
by 25 years old. And he said, you know what, Randy, we're going to make that happen.
Aw.
And they did. I got my 25 years, when I was basically, I think it was like the day before my 25th birthday. I had the second lieutenant bars pinned on me and all this kind of stuff. And I got commissioned and went into flying in the Air Force and F-4 Phantoms. And I was a Wizzo, but I was an instructor Wizzo kind of thing. And I got a chance to, and of course, unlike a lot of the other airplanes, in the back seat in the Wizzo seat, you had a complete complement of flight controls and all that. So about 30 or
Wow.
40% of my flight time was as sole manipulative controls. And so I got a chance to fly that my career like that, but I also got uh, uh, applauded and programmed for flying Learjets because there was a group that was called uh, the basically it was a group that simulated air defenders, but what it did is it went up because I got a chance. I went up to it's a unit that I retired from, 107th Fighter Group up at Niagara Falls,
Yep.
and they
Yeah.
are part of the strategic the northern tier alert facility. So whenever back in the Cold War, if the Soviet, bombers or missiles came across, we would be one of the ones that was scrambled and go up to shoot it down, kind of thing. And but this was the strategic air defense training contractor, and I got the chance to fly Learjets as a
Wow.
simulated bad person kind
Oh
of
my
thing.
gosh.
And I was actually promoted to be the site manager at Griffiths Air Force Base for that. And but I retired in '95, or not. I'm sorry, not '95. I retired in '93 and moved down here. And actually, I moved down here in 1992, and I worked at Flight Safety, um, which is a flight training contractor and everything,
Yeah.
and worked with them for about 7 years, and then I was applauded and brought over to semi-flight and now CAE here, and that's where I've been. But I've all of this, I learned a lot about leadership, and some of the people that I spent the most time with were amazing. One of them was General Richard B. Myers. I don't even know if he's still alive anymore, but
Aw.
he was my squadron commander when he was a lieutenant colonel, and I got a chance to fly with him, and I learned so much from him about leadership and all this. And so, in addition to being here for the last 27 years or so, I uh, I also became a certified executive coach, and I also got together with good colleagues over in Germany, and I actually have been approved as a certified master level neuroplastician with NPN Hub over there, and that's just an knowledge and mental awareness of the brain and how it works and what you need to be aware of. And that's what I bring a lot to leadership and all of this sort of stuff. So it's just a kind of thing. And guess what? That's what I'm still doing. And I will tell you that I've had a lot of people ask me when I'm going to retire, and I look at them and I go, I'm going to retire when I take my last breath because you know what? I am going to run through the tape, and that's what I tell people. I'm not looking to just sit around and whatever. I'm looking to make a difference, not just that people remember my name or whatever, but hopefully people that I connected with and they learned something or whatever, that it made them different and made them awesome going forward. And that's what I want to leave, and that's what I'm about. So
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Randy. We love you, love hearing your stories, and I love that you're here to help. If someone does want to reach out, tell us how we do so.
okay, they can actually reach out to my if you go to my homepage on my website of coachingforrelevance.com.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is you go down to the very bottom of the homepage, and you'll see my email, and you'll also see my cell phone number. And so, I won't give you a big sales pitch. Now, if you have a need that you want, yeah, we'll come up with something. But if all you want to do is have a chat, welcome to that. So, so yeah, if you go down to the very bottom of the homepage, you'll see that information there, and that's the way they can contact me.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for being here. And in the meantime, love to chat with you again next week. Same here, same place, same time. But happy birthday. What are you going to do special for your birthday in 4 days?
Actually, on that Sunday, I'm going to be sitting around here and just appreciating the time. That's all I'm going to be doing.
All
So,
right. Sounds
but
great,
yeah,
sweetheart.
and you said that you love connecting with me just here and all that. And I'll tell you what, same thing with you. I appreciate you. And like I said, I totally express that when you talk to your two kids, just tell them that one pilot that you talked with just expressed his highest compliments for them.
Love it. Love you. Thank you so much, sweetie. You have a fantastic day and happy early birthday again. And I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for your inspiration, your words of wisdom, advice, and for continuing to do what you do. Continue to lead. Just natural leader. You're a natural born leader, but you're also a trained leader. All right. Bye,
Sounds
sweetie.
good, my friend.
Bye, sweetie. Bye, 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 bye.
You have a great one.
You too.
Hello, I'm Randy Swaim. I'm a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach and the founder for Coaching for Relevance. Our vision is to bring freedom to potential in all that is across our path. And one of the things we really want to do, which is aligned with our aviation background, is to help teams and leaders break free of the gravitational forces that are holding them back and their success back and help them soar to their altitudes. So that's our passion, and that's what we're all about.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.